Mr. Speaker, I'd like to ask you to call the House back to order, sir.
The House will come to order. Mr. Morelli.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'll try to give a little clarity on what we're doing in the next several minutes, and then some perhaps. We have a number of bills we're going to take up, and I'll be giving you those bill numbers momentarily. In terms of members' planning, hopefully in about an hour or so, we will be going into party conferences, respective party conferences. Once those conferences have concluded, we will be calling the Ways and Means and then Rules Committee that will produce a calendar which we will take up this evening, and then I'll be giving further scheduling as it becomes available. So with that, I'm going to give you, Mr. Speaker, a series of 4 bills that I'd like to take up now, and then I'll give you additional bill numbers as we work through this. So the next 4 are on the main calendar, page 5, calendar number 12 by Mr. Abenanti. Then we will take up calendar number 76 on page 11 by Mr. Magnarelli, followed by calendar number 88 on page 11 by Mr. Zabrowski. And in this group, we will finish with calendar 106 on page 13 by Mr. Weprin. When I say we will finish, it's just this group, so don't anyone wander off.
So to speak. Clerk will read.
Assembly Number 171A, Calendar 12, Mr. Abenanti, an act to direct the Commissioner of the Office for the People with Developmental Disabilities to study and report upon the cost to the state.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect immediately.
Clerk will record the vote. You have Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 103, noes 0.
The bill is passed.
Assembly Number 1627A, Calendar 76, Mr. Magnarelli. An act to amend the Volunteer Firefighters Benefit Law and the Volunteer Ambulance Workers Law.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect immediately.
The clerk will record the vote. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 104, noes 0.
The bill is passed.
Assembly Number 1910B, Calendar 88, Mr. Zabrowski, an act to amend the public health law.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 90th day.
Clerk will record the vote. Mr. Zembrowski to explain his vote and also spell that for me.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. That's why I rise. For the record, it's cannabinometic, and it's bad news. I encourage all my colleagues to vote yes. Thank you.
All right. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 110, noes 0.
The bill is passed.
Assembly Number 2200, Calendar 106, Mr. Weprin, an act to amend the executive law.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 90th day.
Clerk will record the vote. Mr. Weprin to explain his vote.
Thank you, Mr. We got to kill some time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. As you know, we've had a number of emergencies in the last number of years. Superstorm Sandy is one. This bill would basically apply to apartment buildings where there's a list of individuals with disabilities that may need special attention in the event of emergency or fires or emergency evacuations. And this would allow, would provide for planning for those with disabilities in the case of an emergency evacuation. I withdraw my request and vote in the affirmative.
Mr. Weprin in the affirmative. Are there any other votes? Announce the results.
Ayes 118, noes 1.
The bill is passed. Mr. Morelli.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I'd like to give members the next two bills, which we will take up. First, calendar number 19 on page 6 by Ms. Paulin, and then calendar number 202 by Mr. Abenanti. That's on page 21 of the main calendar.
Clerk will read.
Assembly Number 277, Calendar 19, Ms. Paulin, an act to amend the public health law.
An explanation is requested, Ms. Paulin.
Certainly. The bill allows patients affected by inflammatory bowel diseases such as Crohn's disease and ulcerative colitis to access restrooms that are for employee use only in cases of an emergency situation.
Mr. McKevitt,
Couple of questions.
a
please.
couple of questions, Ms. Paulin.
I would love to.
She sponsor yields.
We've discussed this bill in the past, and just to outline a couple of provisions in it, I know that you do have some provisions in here where, for example, if you have a very small place of business with maybe only 1 or 2 employees, and sometimes these employee restrooms are at locations within a business whereby it may not be safe for this patron or customer to possibly go into, or maybe it's a place that has some security issue, that your bill does go and provide exemptions so they would not have to grant this person access to a bathroom if it would cause some sort of safety issue whatsoever. This bill does provide for that, correct?
Yes, it does.
There's just one other portion of the bill I just want to point out to. I'm not sure you'll have the answer or not, but on page 2, lines 13 through 17, it talks about the fact that nothing in this article shall be construed as requiring a place of business open to the general public for the sale of goods or services that has a toilet facility for its employees to make any physical changes to an employee toilet facility. And I think what the intention is that if you're now allowing a member of the public to use it, there might be an Americans with Disabilities Act issue whereby restroom facilities available to the public must be ADA compliant, where those for certain employees necessarily do not. And I'm just pointing out this may prevent a concern that even though your bill, you say it doesn't construe that way, the Department of Justice and the ADA may construe it slightly differently. So again, I don't know if you have the answer. I don't know if I expect you to have the answer. Just something to consider in the future, whether there could be an ADA unintentionally arising from this bill.
All I can say, and I can definitely look into that part of it, I do know that many states have passed provisions with that same exact language, so that the experience in other states would be able to tell us whether that provision is a problem in terms of the compliance issue. So we will look back and check with some of the states that have that language, and I can let you know.
Thank you very much.
Read the last section.
This act shall take effect on the 120th day.
Clerk will record the vote.